Hey, Jill. Hey, Mike. Each week, our team crowdsources some of the most interesting things we found across every corner of the internet, adding a little insight from our respective roles into creative, research, insight, strategy, planning, and digital work. As curious thinkers, we like to go the extra mile and capture our perspectives on one of the week's most interesting topics, and we call it the drop. So let's drop into the conversation today. We are looking at Morning Consult just released their most trusted brands 2023. There are 15 brands ranking on this list, Band-Aid being number one, and then there's some other ones on there, UPS, FedEx, Lysol, Cheerios, Dove, Amazon. And when this came out, it caused quite a stir with our team. Coming from Seattle, Amazon is a pretty polarizing brand. They have been seen as the one to blame for rising costs in housing, homelessness. But on the upside of that, there is a lot of trust with them. They're able to maintain, delivering these boxes consistently to our houses. So that was kind of interesting to me. Mike, did you expect to see different brands on this list? What was your kind of original thoughts when you saw this?
Yeah. First of all, Band-Aid number one is interesting, but yeah, I did. When I opened this, or before I opened it, I expected to see a little bit more tech in there, a little bit more retail, maybe some automotive, right? Things that we kind of use and rely on every day. But the more I thought about it, and the more discussion we had as a team, it really became actually pretty evident that trust equals right now reliability, right? So Amazon, your setup, Crystal, that's not the Amazon. The Amazon is like getting stuff to my door same day, next day, every time I need it, right? That's why UPS is there. That's why FedEx is there. And then things like Band-Aid and Kleenex and Cheerios, those are just our everyday things that we use and we rely on. And of course they're trusted. So to me, it became just about like continuity, reliability. That's where trust was. And I'll just throw this out real quick. I remember kind of, I've been alive for many moons. And I remember seeing this back in the recession of 08, 09 too. A lot of people, their trusted brands became much more about like coming back to what they do use every day. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't, I was surprised initially, but then the more we talked about it and thought about it, I was like, yeah, we're on the doorstep of a recession, maybe. We're in inflation. COVID is gone apparently, but it's still around. So I was not surprised to see that that's where some of these brands were starting to speak to how we think about trust right in our lives today.
100%. Yeah, it's using the household products. And then I think you also spoke about just like being a parent and having trust towards these actual products.
If you are a parent and you're watching this, you will know how magical a Band-Aid is for a real boo-boo or a fake boo-boo. It is in that moment, the thing when your kid's having a meltdown and that 5 seconds or 10 seconds of getting a Band-Aid, what it can do, absolutely 100%, right? So I completely, number one feels a little intense for me, but I also kind of support it, as a parent and have seen that magic of the Band-Aid happen. So yeah.
Definitely. So we aren't seeing a ton of tech companies on this list. That was a little surprising. Jill, do you have any thoughts around, a certain brand that you would have expected to see on there? Why it is you think that these brands were on here? Anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with both of you right now too, where to Mike's point, the trust is really the reliability or, that's why we trust these companies. So, obviously people that ship things to our doors, we rely on them and trust that it'll get there. And if not, that they're going to make good on it. I was during our earlier conversations, I was saying, it's not synonymous where the company itself versus the product they sell being trustworthy or reliable. So you might love a product, but maybe the brand has a misstep and you kind of get annoyed and bothered by them, but you still really love the product. So it's kind of, they don't go hand in hand necessarily for me, from my standpoint, as far as trust or reliability goes. So like Crystal, like you have that viewpoint from Seattle of Amazon versus somebody in the Midwest who has no idea, has not seen the negative press around it, but we still get our packages that show up every day when we order them. So whatever you use day in and day out, that's kind of the brands you use and trust and like the most. And so it makes sense, the majority of these on this list, except for the Weather Channel.
Jill, I think you bring up an interesting point too, is the Amazon point is I think we're also in this moment of when we start to pit our personal value sets against what a brand does. So again, this isn't like an attack on any of those brands, but it's mostly like a brand may do something we don't agree with, but if it's providing us a service that helps our lives, what is that tension point with us, right? Like, do we forgive it? Do we still accept it? It becomes a really interesting, like, I think, deconstruct of the way brands are interacting in our lives today, and a good conversation point for
Exactly.
your long weekend barbecue party.
Yes.
Most
Yes.
definitely. I have some Amazon packages that I have to pick up.
Good.
Appreciate your guys' conversation today. I hope you have an excellent long weekend, and thanks so much for dropping in.
Thanks.